in today's video, we are reacting to NFL star Cooks DDG after delusional tweet. Now, to be honest, I don't know who the star is exactly that DDG did, but I mean, I don't know. I guess DDG streamers just period have been feeling a lot bigger than the program they really are, and yeah, it seems like an NFL guy cooked him about whatever he said, But with that being said, let's go to get into the video and see what all happened in this.
What's poppin'? After DDG went off and tried to say that he would get more people in a meetup than Vin Diesel and would also compare himself and streamers to mainstream celebrities, saying that streamers are definitely more influential, which I partially agreed on in my last video on him, he would go out to say something so absurd because he had to just up the ante, create more conversation. And he says streamers make more money than 95% of the NFL. I mean, I guess
streamers? That doesn't make sense. I feel like 95% of streamers don't make a lot of money. 95% of streamers aren't getting paid over 100,000. And I'm pretty sure, like, if we look at what the NFL minimum is, like, let's look that up real quick. NFL minimum salary. Yeah, the minimum is 840,000, which is close to. Oh, this is for a rookie. And then it goes up and up and up, bro. So like, most streamers aren't even making $1 million. I like the top of the top of the top, yeah. But most of them aren't even making $1 million. So how do streamers make more than 95% of the NFL? You don't make more than the goddamn kicker. What is this nigga talking about? That shit don't make.
he missed in the 1 hour window where you could edit the tweet, so he just had to repeat that a little bit twice. He was feeling himself. I feel like this is one of those tweets where he sends it out and then he just goes to bed and he's like, oh, I know I caught a banger with this one. I've done that a couple of times. People are gonna get heated and you just go to sleep cozy, wake up the next morning and just smile at what you've done. But a bunch of people started reacting to this. First was academics, who would go on to pocket watch the entire situation, which I'm gonna play you guys that clip right now.
So if you ask me, 85% of streamers make less than $25,000 a year. 90% of streamers make less than $60,000 a year. 95% make less than $100,000 a year. 99 make less than $500,000 a year. And 99.9 make less than $1 million per year. The people who you see that are throwing around cash that got it, whether it's the Aidens, it could be the agents, the your rages, the neon, they are 0.001 streamer. I hope you guys kind of like understand that. Like, I wish they would show how many. Okay, here we go. They don't show how many channels. How do we see how many like channels? Like how many people?
DDG don't really believe that what he just said, though. I feel like that was just very much just rage bait material, bro. Like, there's no way getting, because he knows, like I just said, bro. Like, only the very small streamers make over $1 million a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, now the top, like Aiden might be able to compete with some top niggas money wise, but like, that's one nigga. There's like multiple niggas making 30+ million a year in the NFL.
Streaming it. They don't show that stat. I wish they did. Look, there's somebody streaming politics with 5 views. There's somebody with 3 viewers over here.
So academics is pretty accurate, especially considering academics has experienced the range of streamers in that viewer count. Like academics, when he was on Twitch, he never really averaged more than, if it wasn't throughout his career, because he's streamed on Twitch for at least 10 years, he would usually get like 3K. 3K would be an academic stream. Maybe if it was a big event, an album release, something like that, because he didn't used to cross stream to YouTube, he would get 10K, maybe north of 20K sometimes if it was a huge album. So he's seen the range and the pay. Granted, he had a deal with Twitch for a certain period of time, so he was getting paid by the hour as opposed to just via subs and ads, but he could still see those stats on the dashboard. And certainly if someone is averaging less than 10,000 viewers on, actually, no, there are people making six figures or multiple six figures, under 500K though, that are averaging 2K, 1K. And this is the thing, you have to take into consideration certain females with lower view counts will make exorbitant amounts of money, not just via OF, before OF even really became a thing, but via donations. They'll get like maybe 1 to 5 whales that'll just drop bags. So a chick that has 150 viewers could be a full-time streamer, quote unquote, and she makes 20K, 10, 15, 20K a month because a couple of dudes are donating an insane amount, versus to make that, you'd probably need to average at least 1,000 and somewhere between 1 to 2K, I would say. However, one of DDG's boys, or actually DDG's homies, B-Lou and Zeus, they would have an NFL player who's 1 to 2K, I would say. However, one of DDG's boys, or actually DDG's homies, B-Lou and Zeus, they would have an NFL player who's dating this, well, no, she's not a streamer, who's dating this IG model, retired IG model. I don't know what the situation is with her. Ash Cash, this NFL player, Josh Jacobs, who would answer the question himself when approached by it. And Zeus and B-Lou, they also had, at one point in their lives, probably NFL aspirations because they played in college. And they've seen the content creator side as YouTubers, and they've also seen it as streamers. So they asked Josh Jacobs what he thinks of this. I'm going to play you guys that clip right now.
He said streamers make more money than 95% of the NFL.
Not tripping.
Is that true? Like, on your knowledge, based on your knowledge about the contract, like entry level contract, like rookie contracts.
For what rookie though?
Let's
For
say
somebody that got drafted?
Yeah.
First round?
First, fifth round. First and fifth round. Oh, yeah, first 3 rounds.
But I mean, it really depends on your pick. But if you anywhere in the first 32 picks, you 12, 15 M plus. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it kind of depends.
But that's 4 years, like what, 4, like a 3 or 4 year deal?
Yeah, depending on where you go.
12.
But you got franchise, you got 5-year options, you got franchise tag, you got all of that. But
He said 95% of the NFL. Let me dialogue this a little more. Hold on.
But you gotta also say this. Okay, but let's say this though. Okay, let's say this.
He might be honest because okay, boy.
Let's say this. The top streamers. Let's say the top. Okay, you talking about the top streamers?
Yeah, I would say that.
Because
well, I didn't say that.
I'm gonna say majority of okay, in y'all knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Majority streamers that ain't the like top 10 make what? Couple M's?
No, I'd say more than a couple.
Yeah, way more than
Way more than a couple.
Yeah.
Because
I'm saying that ain't top 10. I'm saying that's not top 10.
I don't know.
That's not top 10.
That's not top 10.
Because like what he make probably 10 a year. He probably make 8 to 10 a year.
I would say
not just probably off stream.
I would say 80 to 100K a month. That's like nowhere.
But okay, but 80 to 100K a month, right? So it's what, 12 months? So what? But let's say 100K. That's 1.2 million, right? That's 1.2 million, 12 in a year.
For the year, yeah. And that's just off the streaming. That's not including the brand deal.
But that's also 365 damn near.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
yeah.
Right.
That's also you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta think.
Because NFL made that in 6 months. Yeah.
Our shit 6 months, and I think like minimum is like 550, 600 is what it's like. That you know what I'm saying? Like just your average, don't play for real, whatever, make 550,000, 600,000 a year for 6 months though.
Yeah,
6 months worth of work. So like he could be onto something, but at the same time, it's like, are you talking about you, or are you talking about streamers in general? Because like I don't know what y'all, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what y'all be looking like.
I really like this guy's response because I'm gonna play you guys this clip of DDG where he said how a lot of people reacted to what he said.
Man, I had rappers calling me, corporate people calling me. You really think streamers make that? I'm telling you, hey, I'm hyping this up. I'm putting on for the community in all industries.
So DDG saying like he's just getting people banging his line, man, what you talking about? Is that real? Is that true? So there are just some people are probably saying like, yo, is that for real? I want to hop into the stream, probably some rappers or something like that. And it was probably other people that were really upset and saying like, yo, no way that's happening. But Josh Jacobs actually tries to make a comparison. And now he does take the first 32 picks and he's saying, okay, you're making 12 to 15 million off of a couple of years contract. And he makes an important distinction, which is that's during the season. So that's around around 6 months. And is the 12 to 15 million? Yeah, I think that's yearly, strictly from the NFL. And this is something we gotta clap back, or I guess you could say return.
Yeah, because like I said, unless you're like a Kai or some shit like that, you're not really getting like Shea's Converse deal for him being in the NBA, with him being some of the eyes, nigga is miles away from a Kai Cenat, because you said these niggas can actually get products made around them. Like, not saying that these people don't know streamers, but I don't know. Yeah, money wise, bro. Like, these niggas ain't fucking bro.
To DDG, which is, what is DDG talking about from avenues of income? Is he strictly talking about Twitch? Because when we're talking about NFL players, we're talking about an NFL salary. We're not talking about any endorsement. We're not talking about anything that they get on the back end, the brand deals. We're not talking about any whatever else NFL players get paid from. And we know that it's less than NBA players because there are less NBA players overall, but also because NFL players, it's not that they're less brand friendly. It's that other than the top NFL players, most people don't know who they are. But I guess that's kind of changed with social media. And yeah, there's a whole like branding thing about the faces, and their faces are covered more. I don't want to get into that. Anyway, so if we're talking about strictly salary, but then he says 32 picks, you're making 12 to 15 M's, and that's the first couple of years contract. How about we take the top 32 streamers? Because that's saying like the top 32 picks in the NFL, because what Academics did is he broadened it to all full-time streamers. And I don't think that's fair. I think, well, it sounds fair, but we just got to take the top. Like, if somebody's making 1 to 2K a month and they can somehow make it by streaming full-time, I don't think we're considering them, and I don't think DDG's considering them. Let's just consider one-to-one in terms of like, okay, if there's 500 people in the NFL, I don't know how many there are. There are 50, I think they're allowed to have like 50 players, 50 to 60 players. And how many teams are there? There are 32 teams. So there are about, oh, that's actually a big amount. Yeah, if we
like
take 1,500, because there's 30 something teams, 32 teams. So if we have, let's just knock it down to 30 and let's make it 50. So 30 times 50, we've got 1,500. That's a big roster. So we should just take the top 1,500 streamers at that point. Now, the top 1,500 streamers, if you're including Kick and Twitch, and it's just straight income, I think you get down to the 500 mark and NFL players start making more. I don't know if there are 500 or 1,000 is a lot that are making 500K plus. And what Josh Jacobs said is the most important part of this, which is, yo, we're just doing this for 6 months. So we get half the year off and we get paid our salary. They're getting, streamers, they're working constantly, partially because they're incentivized to do so in terms of like, yo, if you're not working, not only are you not making money and you're missing out like the opportunity cost of not making money and running ads during that time, but you're also losing money because people are not subscribing to you again during the time that you're off. Like, streamers have done this. Streamers will disappear. Like, let's say a streamer has 10,000 subs. They will not stream for a month, maybe 2 months, even less sometimes, and their subscribers will go from 10K to like 3K. So they'll go down a 70% drop. And imagine back when ads weren't hitting the way that they are right now in the past 3 or so years, people started eating off of Twitch ads. But back pre-2020, it wasn't like that. So losing 70% of your income was nightmarish. So you had to stay locked in the entire time. However, when we're talking about NFL, you could also bring into it the danger and how long does the average person's career last compared to the average length of a career for a streamer.
But at the same point, though, with the NFL kind of like being an actor, whatever, it brings you up to a point to where even if you leave, like Pat McAfee, from my understanding, he wasn't like this great savant. You know, he was a pretty good punter, from my understanding, but he was a punter. You know what I mean? But because he was in the NFL and like he had a name or whatever in the sports space, he was able to pivot out of that, and now he's like a big big broadcaster now. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could still monetize, I feel like, after that, if just because like, oh, you were an NFL player before.
So let's say a streamer becomes full-time, and this is data that we can't really get. I think they say the average NFL player lasts 3 years or so because injuries whatever other. It's very competitive in general. So if the average player makes X amount of dollars per season and they last this amount per season, and then we take the top 1,500 streamers, if we could figure out the numbers for that, how much they earn, which is really, really too difficult, and how long a streamer's career lasts, which if a streamer becomes full-time, entertaining, builds a community, they can last almost as long as they want unless they are tied to a game. So there are certain streamers that are tied specifically to certain games. They blow up in a game. If the game dies, their streaming career dies. Like, people aren't trying to see them play a different game. Or if the audience around that game dwindles, they can't move, and then they have to maintain that core audience that still watches them play that game, so their income would decrease. But other than that, most streamers, they're going to have a career longer than 3 years. I mean, let's just look at, I don't want to use Kai Cenat because this guy's such a huge streamer. Let's just take Academics, for instance, right? Academics has earned enough to be a full-time streamer since 2016, let's say 2016. He's been doing it for like 10 years and he's steady grown. His income as a streamer, I mean, he's still not back on Twitch. It's been over a year that he's been banned, but his income on there now as a streamer as a whole, even without Twitch, is higher than it ever was. And we look at just any streamer that's been here for that long, or even 3 to 5 years. Like, what streamers blew up in 2021 that weren't tied to a game? They're still here and they're still making money. So that's where I think the important distinction is made. DDG, I think this was just more of a rage baity tweet. I think there is more legitimacy to his argument about the influence that streamers have on youth culture, slang, pop culture in general, and maybe people showing up to a random meet and greet because the majority of adults are working and they're not trying to rush to a random meet and greet for no reason in a huge crowd. They've got a little bit more sense than that. Yeah, I think he has more validity in that argument than NFL players, because at the highest end of the NFL, if we are allowed to count their outside income, yeah, it doesn't even come close. It doesn't even compare. But let me know what y'all think about.
Well, with that being said, man, again, the same here. Y'all let me know what y'all thoughts are on this in the comment section below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It's greatly appreciated. And until next time.